Good evening, Dr. Magoo. This is my final research paper in your international relations class. I am Roy Lawrence III, submitting POS 360 exam on the day April 29th, 2026. My topic will be migration, globalization, and human rights. The name of my paper is A Study of Causes, Consequences, and Global Responsibility. I will start with my abstract. Migration is one of the biggest issues in today's world, affecting countries, economies, and people on a daily basis. People move on for many reasons, including better job opportunities, safety from conflict, and environmental challenges. This paper looks at the causes and effects of migration, especially how it connects to the globalization and human rights. It argues that while migration can benefit both individuals and countries, it also reveals major inequalities and creates tension between government control and the protection of human rights. This paper considers the opposing view that stronger border control is necessary for national security. In addition, migration has become more complex over time due to technological advancements and increased global independence. The ability to communicate instantly and travel more easily has allowed migration patterns to grow rapidly, but also make it more difficult to manage migration effectively. International organizations have attempted to address these challenges, but cooperation between nations remains limited. Ultimately, migration is not just a national issue, it's a global one that requires cooperation. Stronger legal protection and more balanced policies to ensure fairness and long-term stability. Migration has always been a part of human history, but today it plays a bigger role in how the world works. People are constantly moving across borders, whether it's for job opportunities or dangerous situations that they want to escape. Because of globalization, it's become more easier than ever for people to travel, communicate, and learn opportunities in other countries. At the same time, these challenges have made migration more complicated and more controversial. In today's global system, migration is closely tied to economic development, political stability, and international cooperation. Countries that are more developed often attract migrants, like the United States, while less developed regions tend to experience higher levels of immigration. This creates patterns that reflect global inequality and uneven access to resources. Migration is a major topic in international relations because it connects to the issues like economic inequality, political conflict, and human rights. Governments are often forced to balance controlling their borders with treating migrants fairly. This paper argues that migration is shaped by global inequalities and larger systems, and that it highlights an ongoing struggle between government authority and human rights protection. The causes of migration. There are many reasons why people choose or are forced to migrate. In most cases, it is not caused by just one factor. Instead, migration results from a combination of push and pull factors that interact with global systems. Push factors are conditions that drive people away from their home countries, while pull factors attract them towards other destinations. Together, these forces help explain why migration continues to increase in today's interconnected world. One of the most important causes of migration is economic inequality, which is deeply tied to global development patterns. In many developing countries, limited access to stable employment, low wages, inflation, and weak economic infrastructure make it difficult for individuals to support themselves or families. As a result, many people migrate to wealthier countries. For example, large numbers of migrants from countries such as Mexico, Honduras, and Guatemala have moved towards the United States, seeking higher wages and more stable employment. Another major cause of migration is political stability and violence. When governments are weak, corrupt, and engaged in conflict, citizens often lose access to basic security and legal protection. In extreme cases, individuals are forced to flee their homes to avoid persecution or death. A recent example is the Russia and Ukraine war, which began in 2022 and led to one of the largest refugee movements in Europe since World War II. Millions of Ukrainians were displaced and sought refuge in neighboring countries such as Poland, Germany, and Romania. Similarly, ongoing instability in Afghanistan following the Taliban's return to power has led many to flee due to fears, political repression, limited freedoms, and economic collapse. These cases show that migration is often driven by survival rather than choice. In addition to these traditional causes, globalization itself plays a major role in shaping migration patterns. Advances in communication technology have allowed people to live in conditions in other countries almost instantly through social media, news, and online platforms. This increases awareness of global inequality and creates stronger motivation to migrate. At the same time, improved transportation systems like long distance migration more accessible and affordable than in the past. For example, low cost flights and established migration routes have made it easier for people to travel from Asia, Africa, and Latin America to North America and Europe. Overall, the causes of migration are complex and interconnected. Economic inequality, political instability, and environmental change, globalization, social networks, and labor demand all work together to shape global migration patterns. The process of migration. The first stage often involves the decision to leave. This decision is rarely easy and is usually shaped by serious push factors such as war, poverty, political instability, or environmental disasters. For example, in recent years, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine forced millions of people to flee from their homes to seek refuge from neighboring countries. The similarly economic collapse and political instability in Venezuela have led many of Venezuelans to migrate to countries like Colombia, Peru, and the United States in search of stability and employment. These examples show how migration is driven by urgent circumstances rather than personal preference. Once migrants reach their destination, the stage involves legal and social adjustment. This is often where new challenges appear. Migrants deal with immigration systems that can be slow, complex, and uncertain. For example, in the United States, asylum seekers may wait months or even years for court hearings while living in temporary shelters or detention centers. In Europe, similar backlogs exist as countries struggle to process large numbers of asylum applications. In addition to legal challenges, migrants must also adapt socially and economically. Language barriers, cultural differences, and lack of recognition of foreign qualifications often make it hard to find stable employment. During the COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, for many migrant workers in countries like the United States, Germany, and the Gulf states were considered essential workers, essentially in healthcare, agricultural work, and delivery services. Overall, the process of migration is shaped by both global systems and personal circumstances. It involves danger, opportunity, legal uncertainty, and adaptation. The consequences of migration can be both positive and negative. The positive side, migrants contribute to the economic growth by fulfilling important jobs and supporting industries. They also bring cultural diversity, which can enrich societies. For seeding countries, migration can provide economic benefits. Also, these funds help families and contribute to national economies. Human rights and migration are one of the most important issues connected to migration. In theory, everyone has basic rights regardless of their legal status. However, migrants often face serious challenges in accessing these protections. Many migrants experience poor conditions especially in detention centers, often may be deported to unsafe environments or face discrimination. These issues highlight the gap between legal rights and real world experiences. Some believe that stricter immigration policies are necessary for national security and stability. Governments have a responsibility to protect their citizens and manage resources effectively. Concerns about job competition, cultural differences, and public service often shape these views. National security is also a major concern, leading to support for stronger border enforcement. While these concerns are valid, they often overlook the benefits of migration and the importance of human rights. Strict policies may often create more problems by increasing risk of migrants and limiting global cooperation. Globalization and interdependence. One major effect of globalization is that made information and opportunities are more accessible. Through the internet, social media, and global communications network, individuals can now see living conditions, job opportunities, and education systems in countries unlike the countries that they came from almost instantly. This creates a stronger desire for migration, especially when people compare their own living standards to those wealthier nations. In this way, globalization does not just allow migration, it encourages it. However, interdependence also creates tension. While countries rely on migrant labor and global cooperation, they still want to maintain control over their borders. This creates a contradiction. Economies depend on migration, but political systems often try to restrict it. The tension is also one key challenge in modern international relations. Another important aspect of globalization is the role of the international organizations. Groups like the United Nations, the International Organization for Migration attempt to manage migration issues and promote cooperation between states. However, their influence is often limited because individual countries still make their own immigration policies. This means that while globalization connects countries economically and socially, political decisions remain fragmented. In conclusion, migration is a complex and constantly evolving issue that continues to shape the modern world. As this paper has shown, it is driven by a combination of economic inequality, political instability, and environmental challenges and growing influence of globalization. These factors are deeply connected, meaning that migration is not simply the result of individual choices, but part of a large global system that reflects uneven development and opportunity. In addition, migration highlights the importance of international cooperation. No single country can manage migration alone, especially in a world that increasingly is interconnected. Global institutions and agreements play an important role, but they are only effective when countries are willing to work together and share responsibility. Without cooperation, migration challenges are likely to persist and even worsen over time. Looking ahead, the future of migration will depend on how governments choose to respond to these challenges. Policies that focus only on enforcement may provide short-term control but fail to create long-term solutions. In contrast, approaches that address economic inequality, protect human rights, and promote legal pathways for migration are more likely to create stability and fairness. It was a pleasure having your class, and thank you for allowing me to do this work to get a good grade. Thank you, Dr. Magoo, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.